Most consultancy owners think that sending out a stack of free proposals is their best shot at winning work. And look, proposals matter. But if you're just hitting send and hoping for the best, you're leaving an enormous amount of work on the table. Today, I'm going to show you how to get in the room with your clients, pitch with confidence, and dramatically increase your conversion rate. Hi, I'm Josh. I spent 10 years as a director and shareholder of a 3 million engineering consultancy that we grew into a 30 million multidisciplinary firm across engineering, town planning, surveying, and architecture. And learning how to get in front of clients and pitch well was one of the things that changed everything for us. So today we're going to cover 3 big ideas. First, while getting in the room with your client is the single biggest lever in your conversion rate and the scripts to make it happen. Second, how to prepare for that meeting so you walk in sharp, relevant, and memorable. And third, how to pitch in a way that leaves a lasting impression and has clients thinking of you and only you when that proposal lands. So let's get into it. So first things first, big idea 1. Stop hiding behind your proposals, get into the room. So the single biggest mistake consultancy owners make with BD is they believe like a well-written proposal does all the selling for them, when really the proposal is just the paperwork that follows from a relationship that's already been really well established. Most consultancy owners are sending proposals into this void of their clients or potential clients' email inbox. They spend hours on the scope, the pricing, the formatting, and then they just sit there and they quietly wait. And they wonder why the conversion rate is sitting at 20, 30, or 40%. The consultancy owners with the highest conversion rates, they aren't writing better proposals. They're getting into the rooms before the proposal was ever sent. So what happens is like a proposal gets sent cold with no prior relationship, no conversation, no context. It's just a PDF document. A proposal sent after a face-to-face meeting though, that's a confirmation of a conversation that's already happened. So high performers in our boardroom community, they actively look for ways and a reason or any excuse to get in front of a client before they submit their proposal. They might ask a question about scope, or they might ask, do you want to catch up on site, like a quick coffee, just to make sure they've understood the brief properly. It doesn't matter, they find the reason. Because getting in the room with your client lets you learn things that you'd never find out in that brief that you get sent in the first place. Who else is bidding? How many people you're up against? What's really driving the decision? What went wrong last time? And what the client actually cares about most. Okay, so here are 5 scripts that you can use right now to get into the room with your client. 1, thanks so much for the opportunity to put something together for you. I just have a couple of questions about the scope that I want to make sure I've got right. Would you mind if I grabbed a quick coffee with you to run through them? Number 2, hey, I'm a little stuck on scope item X. I want to make sure we really nail this for you. Can we jump on a call or catch up briefly just so I can make sure we're aligned before I put the numbers together? Number 3, I want to make sure our proposal actually reflects what you need, not just what's in the brief. Would you be open to a quick 20-minute catch up in your office just so I can ask you a few quick questions? Number 4, I've worked on a few similar projects to this one and think there's a smarter way to approach the scope. Would love to walk you through it before we put the proposal together. Are you free for a coffee this week? And number 5, before I get too far into this, I'd love to understand a bit more about where you want to take this project. Do you have 20 minutes for a quick chat? Now, every one of those scripts has the same goal. It creates a genuine, low-pressure reason to have a human conversation before the proposal goes in. So I want you to ask yourself honestly, how many proposals have you sent in the last 3 months where you've had 0 face-to-face contact with that client before hitting send? Because that's the gap. That's where your conversion rate dies. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk to you about is you secured the meeting. Walking in unprepared into that meeting is worse than not going at all. So getting in the room with your client is only half the job. What you do before you walk through the door, that's what separates you from the other consultants who are forgettable. So that's what separates someone who's memorable from other consultants who are forgettable. There's nothing worse than sitting across from a client and having nothing insightful to say. If you walk into that room without doing your homework, you just come across as another consultant looking for a fee. But when you walk in knowing their world, knowing their frustrations, their pressures, their past experiences, you immediately feel different. You feel like someone who actually gets it. So do your research before that meeting. Google them, check out their LinkedIn, look at their recent projects, look at their company announcements, their industry pressures. Walk in knowing their world better than they expect you to. Get clear on their likely pain points before you sit down with them. Like, what do clients in their position typically complain about? know about past consultants who miss deadlines, consultants who suck at communication, scope creep, budget blowouts. Assume they've been burnt before because they probably have. And when you're in the room with them, sprinkle their pain points into the conversation naturally. Like something like, look, I know a lot of our other clients in your position have been frustrated by consultants who didn't communicate well through the project. That's something that we're really intentional about. And I'd love to show you how we handle that. That lands completely differently to a generic pitch. When you're in the room with them, have 2 or 3 case studies or examples ready to go that are relevant to their project or their industry. Not this full prezzo, but just things again, like stories that you can again sprinkle or drop through the conversation. Look, we did something very similar for a client in X, Y, and Z. Here's how that played out for them. Stories of your past experiences and successes build credibility faster than any cap statement will ever will. So your goal in this meeting with them is not to talk about yourself, it's to ask great questions, listen hard, and show them that you genuinely understand their world. The more you understand them, the more relevant your proposal becomes. So before your next client meeting, I want you to ask yourself, you've gone to all the effort to get in the room with them. Ask yourself, do I know what keeps this person up at night? Because if you can speak to that person in the room, you've already set yourself apart from every other consultant that they're meeting with. Okay, and the third thing that I want to talk to you about is leave an impression that they can't forget, then follow through. So the reality is that by the time you've got the opportunity to get in the room with them, you've spent the time with them, and then you write your proposal, by the time that lands in their client's inbox, they've probably met with 3 or 4 or 5 other consultancies. Your job is to be the one they're still thinking about. The one that they mention to their colleagues, the one that they put forward to their board with a recommendation, the one that they feel like they've already built a relationship with. And that doesn't happen by accident, it happens by design. So after your meeting with them, like send a follow-up message just after your meeting, like the same day or the next morning, like keep it short. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, really enjoyed our chat today. Loved learning more about the project. I'm going to make sure our proposal reflects everything that we talked about. It's simple, but almost nobody does it, and it makes an impression. When you write the proposal, reference the conversation, use language and context from what they told you in the meeting. If they mentioned a specific frustration, address it directly in the proposal. If they told you like a certain timeline or part of the project is non-negotiable, lead with how you would actually deliver that. Show them that you are actually listening in that meeting, because again, like mirroring their words back to them from a neural pathway point of view gets them thinking that person actually cares and they're actually listening to me. Don't just send the proposal and disappear. Call them. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that I've just sent the proposal through. Happy to walk you through it now if you've got time, or answer any questions. That phone call alone just after you send the proposal, again, puts you ahead of 90% of other consultancies because no one else does it. Most other people are just punching out proposals and they don't care. Show the client that you care. Think about what makes you memorable beyond that meeting, like a relevant article. Send stuff to those clients. Hey, I really enjoyed catching up with you. Here's something I thought you would find interesting. A case study, a cap statement, a quick message a few days later. Like all these little touch points compound, and it builds that relationship into something that feels warm for your client, and it makes them remember you. So the goal is, by the time they make a decision, saying yes to you and your proposal just feels like the obvious, easy, natural choice, because they feel like they already know you, they already trust you, and they already believe in you to deliver. So the action here is simple. After your next client meeting, do 3 things. Send a same-day follow-up, personalize the proposal to your conversation that you had, and make that call after you send the proposal. Do those 3 things consistently and watch what happens to your conversion rate. All right, so I want to talk to you about Simon, like an amazing boardroom member who is a great example of what we've been talking about today. So when Simon joined us in boardroom, he was doing solid work, but he was relying heavily on his existing network to keep the pipeline moving. BD wasn't really a system in his business, it was more reactive than intentional, which, by the way, probably sounds familiar to most of you listening. What Simon started to do was following the LinkedIn strategy that we teach in boardroom. He was consistently showing up, he was starting conversations, reaching out to his ideal clients, and he was starting to generate real, warm, genuine leads from LinkedIn who had seen his content, felt like they already knew him, and they had reached out to him to have a conversation. And so he landed his first real strong lead with an A-grade client, Australia's largest sugarcane company, purely off the back of that LinkedIn presence and that LinkedIn strategy. But here's what I love about Simon's story. It wasn't just about LinkedIn, getting the lead, getting the opportunity. It was about what he did once he had that lead and the opportunity. He got in the room with them. He had the conversation. He showed up prepared and credible, and he got the client. And that combination of visibility on LinkedIn, showing up, getting in front of the right people, then pitching well is exactly what we've been talking about today. So if Simon can do it running a consultancy with a niche regional market, you can absolutely do it too. Okay, so let's land this plane. If you want to win more work, increase your conversion rate, the 3 things to take away from today's episode are: number 1, find a reason to get in the room with your clients before the proposal goes out. 2, walk in prepared with their real pain points and your best stories and examples ready. And 3, follow up in a way that makes you impossible to forget. And if you'd like to go deeper on how to build a more profitable and more efficient consultancy, grow your revenue consistently, build a business that gives you the life and the business you actually started it for, check out our 10 million plus consultancy roadmap training. It's a step-by-step guide on how to help you go to that next revenue level in your business, whether it's to 1 million, to 3, to 5, or 10 million and beyond, and build a business you can be genuinely proud of. The link is sitting right below this episode. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.